want to welcome all of you to the Akron Global Business Accelerator, a technology commercialization and job creation program with the city of Akron. Before we get to the core of our presentation here today, I wanted to recognize and thank some of the members of my staff for putting this project together and for working with Hyrogen Energy Systems. Terry Martell, my operations director, is, I guess, out in the hallway. He's been steering people in. Chip Nutter, who has made the arrangements for the room today. And I'd like to especially recognize Anthony Margita, who is our Director of Entrepreneurial Services and is a Third Frontier ESP rep here at the Accelerator. And also thank him for his work with Hyrogen Energy Systems, working to develop the business model that we hope to implement down the road with this particular technology. With no further delay, I'd like to turn the podium over to Jeff Wilhite, the Chief Executive Officer of Hyrogen Energy Systems, and Rick Saccone, the Chief Technical Officer and Vice President for Hyrogen Energy Systems. I think what you're going to see here today is a true game changer. This is one of the most disruptive technologies that we've come across in some 28 years as an incubator accelerator. Thank you.
Mike, thank you, and certainly want to offer a very sincere thank you to all of the folks here at the incubator. Mary, you got a lot to be proud of with the folks over here. They're extraordinary. What I would like to do, start off, we're going to do just a quick overview of the problem, what we have developed as a solution, and then the applications for the technology. And then we'll fire up one of the engines here for you real quick. We have that's what's buzzing in the background, is the analyzer. We'll put that in the exhaust so you can see that there are no emissions coming out, so you are safe with this engine running in here in this closed space. And then we'll have the mayor and the county executive, and we have Kimberly Dixon from EWI here for some comments, and then after that we'll open up for some questions. So let's go ahead and run down through. George, you'll get the first slide there. What's the problem out there right now? The reason that we went after this technology is small engines are the worst polluting engines that are out there right now. They produce an enormous amount of hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. They are absolutely the worst polluters that are out there. A small engine is defined as a 30 horsepower or less engine. If you operate a typical 6 horsepower engine, your lawnmower, you're putting out 2.9 pounds of greenhouse gases per hour of operation. EPA estimates there's 30 million mowers operated weekly in the United States. So if you do the quick math, that's an awful lot of things going into the air that we're breathing that we don't want to be breathing, obviously. For every one automotive engine that is built, 4 to 5 small engines are manufactured. The Clean Air Act mandates that manufacturers reduce their emissions by right now. The problem is they can't get there yet because of the technology that's available. We believe we've addressed that issue for them. To date, they've been able to do what's called ABT. You can average, bank, and trade credits for where you are in your manufacturing process and what you're actually emitting. What that does basically is it allows them to extend their deadline out into the future. By 2015, the problem has to be addressed absolutely directly, or there are stiff fines that will be imposed on the manufacturers. EPA estimates right now that the standards are not met. There's nothing in the immediate future other than some electric type devices. If you put for example, a catalytic converter on a small engine, it robs it of performance. So they're not getting what they need to get out of the engines. The banking, the ABT credits will run out in 2 to 3 years, and with the credits earned, they have until 2015 for a solution, as I mentioned. But we think we have a solution right now, and the solution is our mixing block, which you'll see here on the technology in just a moment. The technology allows the engine to run on 100% hydrogen, and that's industrial grade. It's not lab pure hydrogen. It's cheaper to fuel. It transfers over multiple engine sizes. That's an exciting piece of the technology. Rick Saccone is the inventor of the technology, and we're going to have him do some demonstrations here on the engine. But one of the things that he did in this process was he created something that has transferability with the technology. So this engine is a 6.5 horsepower engine. That's a 9 horsepower engine. We've gone up to 13 horsepower. We believe we'll be able to get up to 30 horsepower. We just haven't gone that far in the process. But it transfers from engine to engine. If you're an engine person, you know if you have a 6.5 horsepower engine, that carburetor and fuel injector is specific to that size engine. This transfers across different engine sizes. It's less expensive to manufacture and assemble. Our device has roughly 40 parts to it. Carburetors have 60 plus parts to it. Fuel injectors have anywhere from 133 parts or more to their manufacturing process. It extends the life of the engine. Because there's no carbon in hydrogen, it doesn't plug the plugs, it doesn't contaminate the oil. The oil stays clean. It has an enormous amount of benefits from the maintenance side of the engine. It virtually eliminates the need to change oil. This engine has over 700 hours of operating time on it. During the question and answer, I'll open it up, I'll show you the oil. It's as clean as the day the engine came to us with the oil in it. We've never changed the oil in that device. It provides near zero emissions. If you use regular motor oil, you'll get a few hydrocarbons that will come out as it lubricates the engine and breaks down. If you use synthetic oil, there's nothing coming out of it. So it's pretty exciting. What do we do with it? Now that we've got it, what can we do with it? Next slide. The applications are many. Every one of these listed categories up here, the technology can apply to: portable generators, standby generators, golf carts, outdoor power equipment, ATVs, right on down the list, farm engines, construction vehicles. Many manufacturers in the United States producing these different types of devices or applications. Many foreign manufacturers. For a military application, it has a lot of possibilities. We've had some folks in that have brought a great suggestion to us we didn't even think about, but submarines, ships, the Navy. Folks are in those hulls of those ships, or in those submarines, and they're working, and they've got power needs in those areas. You can run that right next to the person doing it. You're not going to asphyxiate them. You're not going to give them any kind of a health issue breathing in foul fumes, because it doesn't put any out. So with that, the last application, and a point I want to make is, with alternative energy, everybody asks, why aren't you doing something with the automobile? We chose this route for two distinct reasons. One, the problem exists right now. The regulatory issue that's out there, you've got to correct the problem, and it hasn't been solved yet. So we went after that. Secondly, there are more small engines than large engines manufactured, so it's a very, very large market. As you can see, the applications are many. But I use the analogy, to get to the top of the mountain, you have to learn to climb it. You can't just start at the top and then try to figure out how you got there. This way, we can integrate into the automotive technology. This is technology that's ready to manufacture right now. We don't have to wait until there's a local pump at the local gas station to get refill your hydrogen. You can get this hydrogen right from a local vendor. Madison Valley, any of the gas companies out there, they have it today right now. The cylinders are all manufactured right now. There's nothing special that has to be done to enable our technology to integrate out into the marketplace. So with that, I'm going to introduce and I'm going to say this in embarrassment in front of him, the genius behind this technology, because Rick is the one who literally made it happen, and he's done an extraordinary thing here today. He deserves an enormous amount of credit for what's happened. And he's going to start the engine for you, and then we're going to put this analyzer in there real quickly. You'll see that there's no emissions coming out of the tailpipe, and then we'll shut it down and finish out with some comments and go from there. You don't have to run out of the room. It's safe. Hydrocarbon, 0. Carbon dioxide, 0. NOx is 0. What happens now is it started at 20 parts per million. Oxygen has come down to 12.9. There's no engine that we know of that when it's running and the exhaust comes out the tailpipe, it produces oxygen. This is putting oxygen back into the air. The only thing coming out of the tailpipe is moisture.
Like a moist water, oxygen and moist water. So, if you want to talk about a normal car, what's on the tailpipe?
Yeah, a normal, I'll always go with a car. A normal small engine like this, if it was running right now, the hydrocarbons run anywhere from 155 to 190 hydrocarbon parts per million. We're at 0. The rest of them, it ranges up and down depending on the size. The emission standards that have to be met by EPA deal with hydrocarbon and NOx. Those are the two most important they want to see reduced. We address that for these technologies.
The small engine is really 36 times worse than the automobile, and there's 4 times as many. So this is actually the worst polluter I've ever had.
Now, if you notice Rick's got his hand on the tailpipe, the engine runs even more efficient and it won't get to the heat that a fossil fuel engine will get to. If that was running, he couldn't have his hand on there because he would hurt his hand. So, here we are. Okay?
Okay.
It is absolutely,
Does anybody smell anything first?
yeah.
You don't smell it. Okay.
It is, at the end of the program, we'll open it up for question and answers. We'll start up both of the engines. We'll start up the generator so you can see that it's actually putting out electrical power and go from there. But at this point, it is absolutely my pleasure, my honor to introduce the folks that are going to be speaking here this morning. This first individual doesn't need an introduction in this city, quite frankly, in this state, but the reason this incubator exists, the reason that this city is so forward-moving in our economic development initiatives goes to this man right here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor of Akron, Don Pasquale.
I wish I was a better historian, because I would say I feel like the guy who took the call, or made the call, whichever one it was, from Alexander Graham Bell, like Eureka or something. There's probably a historical word, something that I should say, because I feel like most of you probably sitting here witnessing this, that it is a remarkable day to look at this machine and see that someone has solved the problem, much the same as Alexander Graham Bell did with communications. I just can say congratulations. I'm certainly grateful and thankful that you decided to do this here, and that we had a wonderful facility that Mike here and all of his staff do such a great job of encouraging people and nurturing them and holding their hands sometimes through the difficult days when they crank the engine and the engine wouldn't start, or all the other things that happen here as people create new ideas, take ideas and create a product that can be manufactured and sold right here in Akron, Ohio. This technology adds, I think, greatly to our reputation as a center of innovation and creativity. And so it's another good day in Akron. I don't know, somebody might write something and find a negative part, and it'll probably eliminate jobs in the gasoline engine industry. And someone will note that in a headline somewhere, not mentioning any names, or particular newspapers. But this is a great day in Akron, and again, it highlights, I believe, what has been going on here at the incubator first and now Business Accelerator. Because the next step, obviously, is to not sit around and wait and pat them on the back, but have them start making and manufacturing this and selling it and employing people here. And that really is what this whole accelerator is all about. I want to thank both of you for your commitment to this project. I know, I don't even remember exactly how long, but it's been a while, I know, since you started. And we visited a couple of times, I think, the little space that you started and tinkered, and both Jeff and Rick have been at this, and Rose Ward and Kevin Davis, I know, have been helpful, and all of the folks here. I just can't tell you how important it is to continue to remind people about this great accelerator and what they've done through the assistance of the staff. Companies have raised over $15 million last year and $63 million since 2008 to invest in companies right here. And Mike LaHare, Terry Martell, Anthony, and all of the folks here have really done a great job. I think there are, what is it, Mike, 53 companies here now? 53 companies that continue to do the same sort of thing. Maybe not quite as earth-shaking in some instances, but I appreciate all the assistance that you gave Rick and Jeff while they were working on this. So congratulations. I can't think of any people, any other persons that deserve more the success that you're going to have with this product. And I'm very hopeful that we'll continue to see this grow. And someday, maybe if I live long enough, I'll be driving an automobile that has an engine that was manufactured right here in Akron. And with the technology, we've done our job to clean the air for our future generations. So thank you both. Congratulations. It's now my distinct honor, I have to say that with a smile on my face, to introduce another person who will take great pride and credit for all of the work that he's done on this project. But he's really been supportive in so many ways and so many projects that he deserves credit, even if he wasn't down here putting oil in the machine or turning on the lights. A good friend and partner with the City of Akron, Russ Pride, County Executive. Russ.
Thanks, Mayor. We have ongoing jokes about who goes first and second when we get up and do these things. You know, you can take the first shot or the last shot at each other as you go through these, but you know, we are so fortunate to have Don Pasquale as our mayor, and I think everybody in this room really understands that in terms of the vision, the leadership. You know, on our way down here today, we have an intern working in our office, and I was explaining to him what this whole place was and what the accelerator was and what the staff has done here, and what a great asset it is to our community. And everyone in here should be proud and thankful that we do have this asset. I've known Jeff and Cindy Wilhite for many years, and I've gotten to know Jeff a little bit over the course of the development of this project. And I'm just here to say thanks to everybody, because, you know, I look at something like this, I know how many years, how many hours, how much time you guys put into this to get this done right. You could have walked away a long time ago and done something else, but you stuck with it to make this a better society and to make Akron a better place. And so for that, thank you.
It's my pleasure now to introduce to you Kimberly Gibson. Kimberly's here from Columbus, representing EWI, the City Welding Institute. Just a real quick piece with the Institute. Henry Scaloni, the director of the Institute, came up to see the technology a little over a month ago. Actually vetted it for us, was very excited about it, and has been a great partner going forward with the ability to integrate this where it needs to go. So we're very, very excited. Kimberly?
Thank you. Well, thank you, Jeff and Rick, Mayor Pasquale, and County Executive Pride. It's really a pleasure to be here and see this room full of people who are as excited about this technology as you are, maybe. How great to have so many supporters and boosters. It really is an honor to be here at one of the most pioneering business accelerators in Ohio. Y'all have been doing this a long time. You've made a lot of perfections on the art of business acceleration. This is yet another successful example, and you should be congratulated for that. This breakthrough in the small internal combustion engine is truly remarkable. I direct the Advanced Energy Program at EWI in Columbus, Ohio. We've been around about 28 years, about as long as this incubator's been around. And we've seen a lot of technologies come and go. And each year, EWI selects a handful of small companies that we want to work with and help them mature their technology, help them insert their technology into the marketplace. And this year, Hyrogen Energy Systems is one of those companies that we chose. We are excited to have them join the ranks of EWI membership and to get the support of 140 engineers with 7 to 10 years of industrial experience and a whole lot of exciting ideas for you. The innovation that Hyrogen Energy Systems announces today fills a market demand that we have seen in the United States and across the world for reliable, cost-effective, safe, and clean power generation. And especially doing that difficult thing on a small scale. There aren't too many challenges that are more difficult than that. And this technology fits into the transformation that's underway right now in this country in how individuals manage their own electricity needs. This product allows the freedom and the flexibility for you to manage your electricity needs wherever you go and whatever kind of space you find yourself in. And the fuel source is clean too. And the success of this small engine, I don't want to overstate this, but I want to say that the success of this small engine could help jumpstart the hydrogen economy by generating a market for hydrogen that's supplied in cylinders by many other great Ohio companies as well. So we see this as a giant leap forward. We don't need to wait for government to pay for infrastructure for the new clean energy economy. We have it right here. We have it right now. And I want to say that in the weeks and months to come, because there are going to be many more challenges as we mature this technology, scale it up, and get it out into the marketplace at an attractive price point. EWI is honored to work with you, and we are a partner with you in your success. Thank you.
Very much. Just before we go into question and answers and start up the engines, I'll let you kind of kick the tires, if you will. A couple of acknowledgments we would like to make right now. Representing Congressman Tim Ryan's office, Chris Couples is here. Chris is over here in the corner. Chris, thanks for coming. From Marcia Fudge's office, Congresswoman Marcia Fudge's office, we have Steve Cavanis. Steve's right here in the front. And from Representative Betty Sutton's office, Samantha Hurd is here. I want to say one thing about the Congresswoman. She came out to see the technology at the facility, and a lot of times when we start this technology, very big guys, bigger than I am, and I'm, believe me, as nervous as I've been, as much as I've been eating, I'm pretty good size, that have come up and they've seen this technology, and Rick goes over to start it, they head for the door, because they don't know what's going to happen. Not Betty Sutton. She was right in there, her face was right in there, exhausted, and the first thing she said was, "Is it safe?" She didn't wait till after she found out. She was in front of it, and then she said, "Is it safe?" So she's been extraordinary, and we appreciate all the representatives and the work that they're doing to try and help us move this forward. Senator Sherrod Brown's office has been extremely helpful with us. We've been looking at some potential federal grants. Senator Rob Horton's office has been very good in helping us go through those hunts, if you will, for those dollars. Also here, I'm very excited. Gary Youngpenny, Akron City Councilman, is here from Ward 10. Gary's a longtime friend and absolutely a great guy. I appreciate him being here. At this point, before we get into the questions, there are a couple people Rick and I absolutely have to acknowledge. Indulge us, if you would, please. When you start a project like this, the biggest word you hear is no, can't be done, can't be done, can't be done. So people like Rick and I 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night at the shop working. And trust me, I just through this process learned which end of the wrench to use. Rick is the genius behind this. He's the guy that makes it happen. But I have to tell you, we have a great support system. We have two of the best partners we could ask for, Kevin Davis and Rosemary O'Hara. We certainly appreciate them and all they do. But the families behind the two of us are pretty incredible. And Rick's wife, Gina, has been extraordinary. I wasn't going to do this. But I have to also say that I have three really super cheerleaders in my life. My wife, Cindy. Anybody who has a partner in life, I wish to God you have someone like my Cindy with you. I hope that for all of you. My son, Jordan, my daughter, Katie, two fantastic individuals. I love them to death. My mother is here. My brother is here. He never thought I'd amount to anything. So he tells me frequently. But we just have to say thank you to our families. Jumpstart. We've just started a relationship with Jumpstart. John Dearborn's here from Jumpstart. We're excited to be working with them. Certainly the Akron Chamber and the work that they do to help all of these young businesses get started. We certainly appreciate you guys being here and the help that you provide as well. So with that, I have three people I'm absolutely going to call out, and then we'll go on to questions and answers. And that is Michael here and Anthony Margita and Terry Martell. We have been working with them throughout this process, and when you come into this process, Mayor, they're hard nosed. You know, they'll look at you, you'll have an idea, and they'll look at you and say, well, that's not going anywhere. Well, what are you doing with that? How's that going to work? And you step back and think, okay, you're not out here at 11 o'clock at night working on this. But they're right, because they're professionals, they know what they're doing, and they've been great in helping us move this process forward. And the other individual standing over in the corner, I want to offer our thanks to too, and that's Stephanie York. She has been phenomenal in putting this together. We appreciate you, Stephanie, very much. Thanks for your help. So with that, we're going to go ahead and open it up to any questions that you might have about the technology. It'll get real informal here now. We'll start the engines up for you. Come up and take a look at them. Ask any questions. You know, the key guy to ask is Greg, because he's the genius behind it. And I'll answer how we painted it and picked out the you know, those kind of things. So, okay. Any questions immediately, or we can answer? Yeah.
What kind of torque are you getting out of this engine for some of the more power uses, like ATVs and others?
That's a great question, because we're able to match the manufacturer's specifications depending on the size of the engine, depending on the compression in the engine. There's several factors that you can work with. But I appreciate the question, because all of those tweaks and adjustments happen right at the manufacturer right now. They don't have to retool their factories to introduce this technology to their technology, because if it's coming down the line, they'll grab a 8.5 to 1 piston or a 10.5 to 1 piston, whatever's already there, and the technology is able to do it. We have another announcement coming later in the summer that will take the torque and the horsepower and everything absolutely off the table. It's not even a question.
Jeff, you mentioned when we had discussions earlier of how this helps in disaster situations and how many people actually do dumb things with generators.
Yeah, that's a great thing about that. We found out, we had no idea until we actually got into the research of this. There was a U.S. Health report that came out. Over 500 people a year die from improper use of just the portable generator. People think because it's a generator, it's electricity, I'll put it in my basement, I'll put it in my garage, and I'll run it. Well, the problem is, it's poisonous gas, and it can kill you or cause severe long-term health issues. With this technology, you literally can, well, we'll see it, we'll be standing there. There's nothing that's going to cause you to have those kinds of concerns. One avenue we'd like to chase, we haven't started yet, but if anyone here can help us with that, we'd appreciate it. But if you're an insurance underwriter, if I have a home and I put a fire alarm and a burglar alarm and carbon monoxide detectors and what have you, I can get a little bit of a break on my insurance premium. Well, what would be any different than this? If you're an underwriter and your customer calls you and says, hey, Mr. Underwriter, I've got a hydrogen power generator now that doesn't kill me if I run it, your risk goes down. Could my homeowners go down a little bit as a result? Because I've gone the extra mile to protect myself, my family, my home, etc. So that's another avenue. There are so many different directions that this technology will filter into. We're pretty excited about those opportunities.
Chip, maybe you or Rick can talk to the effects of carbon-based fuels on the wear and longevity of engines.
Carbon is how I carry on.
Oh, yeah, the carbon in an engine is actually like a piece of gravel or a piece of sandpaper in an engine, and it actually floats through the oil the whole time. So the more that motor actually runs, the more it's just breaking down the engine. So with no carbon, there's no wear. So it actually, there's no oil changing to do, there's no spark plugs to change, there's no carbon. So actually that motor that we said, that Jeff said it was 700 hours that ran on it, that motor was only by the manufacturer specs supposed to only run 125. So we're way over the 120. And at the 125, there's so much carbon that's been in the oil and so much breakdown that it actually starts emitting more pollutants out of it. So then it still runs, but it's beyond what it needs to be, and they say it's not. So right now we have 700 hours on it. It's still running pretty good.
If you related, I know it's this engine, but one to your typical lawnmower, what's the life of the gas?
It's 125 hours.
In the cylinder?
Yeah, the manufacturer listed at 125 hours, and that depends on if it's an iron sleeve or aluminum sleeve in the engine. So the aluminum sleeves have a little less hours to go on, and then you're supposed to just toss them. On the iron sleeves, you can get a little bit more life on. The technology that we have, it has to have an iron sleeve, and there are some modifications that need to be done. And it's like ring changing, compression, ratio. It's the same pieces you're going to put in. You're just putting different kinds of pieces in. So if a motor is being made, you're just grabbing something different. There's cam overlapping. There's different products that they use in the rings instead of a iron ring using chromoly. It's still a ring. So, but it lasts longer.
Question an equivalent volume of gasoline, what will hydrogen go to hours of operation?
Depends on the load and the size and the RPM. The manufacturer says that the motor has to run at a certain RPM. Okay? So they have it figured out that the motor will actually run at, I think it was an hour and a half on one tank of this motor. Okay? So that tank down there, it's a lab tank. It's kind of on the large size. We got 4 hours out of that size. Maybe it might be that tank where it takes you that hour and a half or 2 hours. You see what I'm saying? So it depends on the load that you're putting on the application and the RPM you're running. So
that's
you're asking the cost, like the cost of
not the cost, but the practicality of that, the compressed tank, what pressure of the tank?
The compressors were running about 2,000 PSI.
Yeah, it's a match. In other
So
words, you could take, for example, the manufacturer's runtime on that generator is rated at 8.5 hours with what was a 7-gallon gas tank. We can match that with the hydrogen. With the announcement that we'll have at the end of the summer, we exceed that by a multiple of 3. So it's being able to really take that energy, and for certain applications you might be at 2,000 PSI. For others, you might have the same tank, and instead of getting an hour out of it, you can get 3 hours out of it if you go up to 4,000 PSI.
So it depends
putting
on
more fuel.
the pressure, yeah, the volume. It's not like liquid, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So the more you put in that tank, the longer it's going to last. No, the tank doesn't have to be different size, but all these are based on 2,000 PSI.
Because there are so many lawnmowers in America and around the world, what kind of cost is this going to add to the average mower?
It'll be right in competitive with it. Give you an example on the generator. That engine, we can if we were to start today, we can produce that generator competitive in the market right now. That's a 5,500 watt, what's called an IC, industrial commercial engine. They range, if you go to Northern Supply or whoever you're buying from, they range anywhere between $2,000 and $2,800. $2,000 is sort of a no-name brand, and $2,800 is up around the Honda. It's a Honda type engine. We are within that range. We can, depending on the volume that we're dealing with, we can sell at the low end, we can sell at the high end, and still be profitable because our cost to manufacture that is competitive. So you're not, in other words, well, and I'm glad you asked that question, because one of the biggest things that we ran into early on in this process is, everybody says, okay, so what's alternative energy? I can't have my $299 lawnmower costing me $600 because guess what? No one's going to buy that. You might have that small percentage who wants to be environmentally sound and can afford it. They'll buy it.
But that's the reason why we did what we did.
Right.
We tried to make it so it was competitive. So when we made the product, we had to say, okay, it has to cost this or less, and we actually came to less.
For example, the actual mixing block, when you come up, you'll see it closer. There's 40 parts to that mixing block. It costs less to manufacture than a carburetor or a fuel injector. Right there, in and of itself, you know, if you're the manufacturer, I would think you would be interested in pursuing it. So that's what we're hoping will happen.
What's your business? Where would you like us to go? What is your business?
Well, actually, we're looking at either joint ventures with any of these folks here who already manufacture the products, integrate with them, or license agreements to the intellectual property that's surrounding the technology. There's so many, as you can see, avenues we can go into. We would partner with HES Marine joint venture, or whatever would come along with it. So either joint ventures or